Hello spooky crafty people, welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to show you how to make this adorable garland using recycled fruit and old t-shirts.
Let's get started.
Here's a basic rundown of what you're going to need for this project. A pair of tweezers, pliers, or something along those lines that are small enough to get in there to pull some of the goods from inside the mandarin. A sharp X-Acto knife or any small knife that you think gets the job done. Keep some wet wipes or a wet towel on hand because things are going to get really messy. And paper towels. Paper towels aren't just for cleaning. Well, you'll see how we're going to utilize this later on in the project. Old t-shirts or scrap fabric. A base for your garland. I'm using twine. And finally, mandarins or tangerines, cuties. Start drawing out your design with a Sharpie. So this is a good time to decide where you're going to want the holes. Are you going to hang this vertically or horizontally? Once they dry out, it is very hard to make and poke holes for the ribbon, rope, whatever you want to use. I mean, you could probably do it with a Dremel, but if you don't have a Dremel, trust me, it's better to just go ahead and get all the carving you're going to need out right meow before you stick it in the dehydrator or let it air dry naturally. Trust me, it breaks. I broke a few. Okay. Honestly, this is my favorite part. It truly is just so satisfying. Let the carnage begin. Grab your tweezers and start pushing the insides away from the rind and just start to pull. Feel free to snack on these guts as you go along. If you have any old oranges, tangerines that are kind of going bad but not quite moldy, this is a perfect project for those because the pulp tends to pull out way easier. All right, yay, we did it. Look at that. Look how cute this is. Now let's grab some napkins or tissue paper and kind of wedge it in there, and that helps absorb some of the moisture while also helping it maintain its shape as it dries. Keep in mind the tissue paper is only if you're going to dehydrate these naturally or in the food dehydrator, not for the oven. Do not stick tissue paper in the oven. Over. Here I'm just going to use some wire to keep the little hat intact, or the little top, whatever you want to call it. You may use it, you may not. You may decide on doing something else for the top. FYI, this step is not necessary. I'm using a dehydrator for this project. I'll show you the oven method later in the video. So my dehydrator is meant for thin slices of food. I got a way to work around that. I'm going to sacrifice one of the layers by cutting away the center to make room for when I layer the top back on. The best way to cut away at plastic is to heat it up with the blow dryer set to hot or a heat gun. After the plastic has softened up a bit, cut around the edges with scissors or a knife until the whole center piece is cut off, leaving only a frame. If you don't have a dehydrator, it's totally fine. You can go ahead and continue with the step we did before this with the paper towels and just leave it drying out in your counter somewhere. It does take about 2 to 3 days and the color is a little off. They won't be as orange as if you use the dehydrator. I set my dehydrator second to highest level and I left these in overnight. And now they are good to go. They look so good. Aw, and they're pretty sturdy too. If you decide to go the oven method, set the oven to 170 degrees and keep them in there for about 2 to 5 hours, checking on them periodically. After that, turn off the oven and just keep them in there or put them on your counter to cool off. You should be left with this lovely shade of burnt orange. Now that we got the dehydration part over with, we can go ahead and start taking out our paper. If some of the paper starts sticking, just dab a little water and pull it off with some tweezers and you should be fine. If you went with the oven method, this step is not necessary. Alright, now let's cut up some fabric. Here I'm going to go with a classic Halloween color scheme of orange, black, and a little off-white. My long strips are anywhere between a ½ inch to 2 inches, but feel free to experiment with whatever width you'd like for a different effect. I have t-shirts that I just can't do anything with. I don't want to throw them away. They're not donatable, and this is just the perfect project to utilize scrap fabric, old clothes, so forth and so on. Now I'm cutting up all of the pieces that measure up to about 5 inches in length and 1½ inch to 2 inches in width. I'm prepping my twine with the noose at the end for hanging. Use whatever you have on hand that is sturdy enough to hold the arrangement. Starting from the base of our little knot, we're going to add markers every 6 inches, so we'll have a little map of where we're going to place our little mandarins. So it'll be 6 inches of the little knots, and then a mandarin, and then 6 inches of little knots, and then a mandarin, and, well, you get it. Now that I have my little stacks of fabric, I'm going to tie them on to the base for a length of 6 inches. It helps a bit to stretch each piece before you tie it on. You can arrange each piece as you go along, but I'll wait till the end to fluff and pull and twist these to give them a little bit more character. And now we've reached our marker where we add our little pumpkin head to the end of the string and pull it through. I'm going to add a little black piece of fabric behind the face so that way the details pop out more. Now let's talk about stuffing and how it's totally optional and all up to you on what you decide on what you want to use. I chose this shredded paper from the Dollar Tree. I'm sure as you keep watching this video, you'll start getting ideas and they'll just start oozing out of your brain. Maybe right now is a good time to whip out that random box of hair you've been saving for a special occasion. That would take this to a whole new level, wouldn't it? Okay, moving on. And now we add bells to the very end. If you're having trouble pulling your twine or ribbon through the little bell holes, add some masking tape and kind of taper it off at the very end, and that'll give it a little sharp edge so that way you can just thread it through. I'm going ham on tying these bells. There's no real method on how I do this. I just kind of make knots, tie it around, wind around,
blah, blah, blah.
Wow, look how fast I'm going.
You can tell by the tone of my voice, we're reaching the end of this video. Whew, thank you for sticking by.
Okay, and now we fluff and pick and twist. We are so done. Look at this. Awesome. Love it. It's super cute. And what I love about it is it was very cheap to make. Literally scraps of all sorts of things. Fruits, fabrics, air. Give yourself a pat on the back because you recycled so hard this Halloween season. Feel free to let me know in the comments section how you would use these instead of a garland. Maybe even some ornaments for your spooky Christmas tree. That'd be pretty cool. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe. What's it gonna hurt?